time for Mac Geek Gab, and I will bring us our quick tip of the week. I was driving in my car and trying to remember a word that I had forgotten, and then I realized, wait, I can't do this right now because Siri can't help me with this, but ChatGPT could. I got home, I launched the ChatGPT app, and I told it, hey, what's the word that means this? And, gave it like enough context, and boom, there it was. It gave me the word that I forgot. And thinking about using ChatGPT in these ways, I know we can use Google to find the song that we couldn't remember by humming the melody, but ChatGPT can help you find words or ideas or things like that. More tips like this, plus your questions answered today on Mac Geek Gab 1047 for Monday, July 22nd, 2024. Greetings, folks, and indeed, welcome to Mac Geek Gab, the show where we take your tips and our tips, and we share them. We take your cool stuff found and our cool stuff found, and we share them. We take your questions, and sometimes even our questions, and we try to answer them all with the goal of each of us learning at least 5 new things every single time we get together. Sponsors for this episode include a new one from a brand we know and love, 1Password Extended Access Management to protect all your devices at work, and Zocdoc.com/MGG, where you can go sign up for free and download the app today. We'll talk more about each of those in a minute. But here on World Brain Day in Durham, New Hampshire, back in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And here back in South Dakota, I'm Adam Christianson.
And here back also in New Hampshire, it's Pilot Pete. Dave, related to that opening tip, getting ChatGPT to give you words. I can't call that up right now. Maybe one of you two can tell me, what is another word for thesaurus?
Oh, man.
Asking for a friend.
Why did we let him? Adam, after this past weekend, we should have known.
The dad jokes are strong with this one.
Dad, yes.
Come on. You guys are just gullible. And you know the word gullible isn't in the dictionary.
ChatGPT told me that. Yeah, it confirmed it for me. That's right, Pete.
Oh, boy.
All right.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Should we see if Bern has another use for ChatGPT?
Please.
So
save us.
BernSh, which I'm assuming means cell, so I'm going to call him BernSh, like Born Shell. Says, I had an annual meeting to generate a report for, and the meeting was on Zoom. With the Zoom AI meeting summary in hand, I crafted a ChatGPT prompt, which took the Zoom AI summary and reformatted it into the format used in the previous year's report. With a bit of cleanup, I was good to go. Obviously, this could be adapted from many directions to get data reformatted and edited. So the prompt he used was, using the Zoom AI generated meeting summary named 2024 meeting summary, create a new document for me to download that as closely as possible matches the format of the document named 2023 meeting summary. Pay close attention to getting all the details correct, but do not be too verbose, as demonstrated in the included sample from the 2023 document.
I love this because it reminds us that we can upload files, attachments to ChatGPT, and have it incorporate those and create those, in fact, as well. So, yeah, no, I think that's great. I love it. Yep.
Yeah, I was actually playing with it a few weeks ago. I haven't gone back to it. Uploading a CSV file for stock prices, and I was trying to get support and resistance levels, among other things.
Now, I don't know Bern's situation or his company or anything like that. I'm going to be the doom guy, right? To bring up, if you're uploading corporate data or information, make sure you're within whatever your company's corporate AI policies are. Those are things that a lot of companies are starting to formulate.
Yes.
Depending upon the content or what was discussed in that meeting, you might want to be careful about proprietary or information that shouldn't be shared.
No, that's not the doom guy. That's the smart guy. And the thing that we all need to remember in our excitement to let these engines be our ubiquitous assistants, only share things with it that you want to know. You want it to know, and potentially anyone to know. I recently installed the ChatGPT app on my Mac, and there's a couple of things I really love about it. It's the official ChatGPT Mac app. And one thing that's great, it's not really related to this, but I love, is here I can search my old queries, which I never found a way to do on the web. Maybe I'm just obtuse and missing it, but I know that I've had a conversation with ChatGPT about a thing, like our sponsorship reads. I always use the same thread when having ChatGPT create our sponsorship reads, because it's all the same thing. And why not have it kind of, I know it knows what it's done, but if it's in the same thread, I feel like maybe it knows even better what it's done.
Well, that makes sense, because
not to repeat itself.
If you've told it not to do something before, then it's not likely going to do it again in that same thread. Whereas if you started a new thread, it may revisit, and now you're reinventing the wheel.
I'm reinventing the wheel. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But the other thing more related to this is I'm trying to figure out where it is. There's a in the settings somewhere, there is the ChatGPT memory, and you can actually see and edit what it remembers about you. So yeah, if you go into ChatGPT, this is the ChatGPT Mac App preferences. This might exist on the web. I've never seen it before, but I never looked. I had put the ChatGPT app on, and so I started digging. But if you go into personalization, manage memory, it will list all of the things that it has chosen to remember about you based on what you've told it. And it's fascinating. And you can, if it got something wrong, or if it captured something you would rather not have on the list of things that it captured, there's a little trash can icon. You can just delete these things. Like if I'm going on mine, it says, has a podcast called Business Brain. Well, that's true. Is considering podcast episode titles for their podcast. Mm-hmm. Uses Fastmail as his primary email provider for both work and personal email, and has been using it for over 5 years. Has a podcast called Mac Geek Gab, and so on, right? These are the things that I use ChatGPT for, but you can modify those. And you can even, if you go into customize ChatGPT and personalization, you can tell it things like, what do you want it to know about you? And also, how would you like it to respond? And they give some instructions on that too.
So I've got a question. I never really noticed the menu at the top of ChatGPT to play with it before. So it's got preferences and control center, all that. Where's the manage memory? I'm not seeing that in the menu.
Yeah.
Dave.
Yep. So if you go into settings and go into personalization, manage memory is in there.
Okay. I'm going to hit command, comma. The ChatGPT app on Mac.
On Mac, it's got a little menu bar icon. You go to settings, and then the
settings. I have preferences.
Then you're not running you're either not running the official ChatGPT app, or you're not running the latest version. But my guess is you're running the Mac GPT app.
Oh, you're darn right I am. You're darn tootin'.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the official ChatGPT app.
And that's why I'm going to go to the show notes and get the link for the official.
It's already there for you.
Yeah.
I got you.
So, right? Well, that's good. And I'll have the old one all backed up for me, assuming you're ready to move on to the next quick.
I'm moving on. Yeah.
All right. So the other day, I have a thumb drive. I actually should call it a pinky drive, but it's not quite as big as my pinky. And I plug that in because it's 1 terabyte. And that's one of my 3 drives that I use with Time Machine. And it was getting ready to go to one of my Synology drives. And I'm like, I don't want it to do that right now. So I opened Time Machine Preferences and I right-clicked. And I don't know, I didn't know to do this. I just right-clicked to see what might be there on the drive that I wanted to back up to. And lo and behold, the one thing that pops up is the ability to select back up to this disk now. And so I was able to tell it, go to this one. Don't go to that one.
Oh.
So that worked out really well. Yeah, it was just a natural flow, but I thought I'd tell people, hey, if you back up to more than one drive in Time Machine, you can tell it which one you want it to do now.
And this is in System Settings, General Time Machine, right?
No, I actually went to I have Time Machine up in the menu bar, and I click on that, and I click Open Time Machine Settings.
Oh, okay, which brings you to the same place.
So it's a different way to get the same place.
Different way to get to the same place, but sure, yeah.
Different path, same destination.
Yep.
And yeah, so that's it. I have 3 drives listed, and I just right-click on the drive I want to use and select back up to this drive,
back up
to this disk now.
Disk now, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So
Cool.
Thought I'd share that little tidbit with our final.
You have anything to add to that, Adam, or should we move on to Stephen?
Nope. I mean, I think that one's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, yeah. Stephen has a comment from episode 1041 where we were talking about the fact that you could back up or sync or share even shortcuts, but automations in the Shortcuts app were limited to that device. And his solution for this is that he doesn't put his automation steps in automations. He creates a shortcut for all of his automation steps and then has the automation trigger on whatever it's going to trigger and then simply run the shortcut so that he does have the shortcut backed up if he needs to, move it to another Mac or share it with somebody or whatever. He doesn't just have to do it via screenshots. So, it's like when this event happens, run this shortcut and then you're done. That's it. Now, automations have some different commands and control flow than shortcuts. So your mileage may vary as to whether you can do this, but it is I like the idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Just you make a great point. Depending upon what your triggers are and things like that. Like, I don't think you can do like an NFC trigger in a shortcut.
No, but you can do an NFC trigger in an automation and then have that automation run the shortcut. Yeah.
Oh, fair point. Yeah.
That's what he's saying to do. But the question is, there are some control flow things in automations that might not translate to shortcuts. So you might be limited by what you can do. So.
Yeah. Sounds like another different path, same destination to me.
Yep. Yeah, but at least you get to back it up here, or share it, or do whatever you want. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a great little tip.
I know. Yeah, I just like thinking about things in different ways. It's good.
Harvey has a follow-up to our discussion on Apple Watch mirroring. That was something that I think I brought up on a previous episode that was sort of like the new iPhone mirroring you're going to be able to do in the next operating system, Mac OS. But Apple Watch has an accessibility thing where you can bring up your Apple Watch on your phone. And Harvey says, in this week's episode, you asked for uses of Apple Watch mirroring on your phone. Here are 2. In winter, when I go for a walk outside and I am bundled up, it's hard to pull up my jacket sleeve over my watch to see activity monitor on the watch to monitor live how far I've gotten, how fast my pace is, or my heart rate. Mirroring the Apple Watch on my iPhone allows me to follow along as I walk without having to struggle through my jacket to see the watch. I just hold the phone in my hand as I walk. Second use I just discovered is that I can unlock the watch from my phone and on a bigger screen instead of trying to punch those little numbers on the watch. This is useful when my phone, for some reason, doesn't unlock the watch automatically, or sometimes when the watch locks itself even though I'm wearing it. You can mirror the watch even when it's locked.
What? That's like okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like it. That's
I'm
great.
guessing Harvey doesn't live in Miami. What with the jacket in the winter and all.
I know what he's talking about now, living in South Dakota. About like, you got gloves on, you got multiple layers, everything it's buried under there, and you're trying to peel it back with big heavy gloves. Yeah, like it's a thing for sure.
You're not in San Diego anymore, Toto.
Exactly.
Wow. All right. Well, Scott wrote in, he had another option for, I don't know if this is the same user, Harvey, or not, who had asked about pasting as plain text. Scott says he uses the Paste app, which is available on Set app, and we'll put a link to SetApp in the show notes, I bet. I could be wrong. And anyway, use Paste. And while Paste is mainly a clipboard history type program, one feature that he finds handy is that it has a paste as plain text feature that works great. And another bit of advice is that this allows you to copy multiple things and then paste them individually using paste as plain text feature. So
I like
very
that.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Smart. Cool. I was staying with my uncle over 4th of July weekend, and he has, as many people do, a couple of like a refrigerator and a freezer in his basement. And he wanted to know, he's an engineer. He worked at BBN for years, the company where email was invented. In fact, he knew Ray Tomlinson very well. So I share that as background. He's a super nerd about like things like we are. And he, his refrigerators down there got old, and he wanted to track a couple of things. One was the temperature variance between, like at what point it kicks on and at what point it shuts off, trying to get it colder. But also, he wanted to know when they had a power outage, how cold it was in his freezer without losing any of the cold air that he had paid for in his freezer. Well, because then do you need to, like, if you can leave your fridge or your freezer sealed during a power outage,
sure,
potentially you don't have to throw away all the food that was in it if it didn't get above a certain temperature. So for a variety of reasons, he wanted to know the temp inside of his devices without opening them. And so he put Bluetooth battery-powered Bluetooth sensors in his freezer, and you can find these on, Amazon. Pick your favorite ones. Like, it doesn't really matter. You can get them for like $10 a piece. And then he uses his phone to get near it and find out what the temp is. He does caution that you are putting these effectively inside a Faraday cage or something quite similar to it. So you kind of need to be close to the device, to your refrigerator, the appliance, to see what its inside temperature is. The other thing is just make sure that the range on whatever you're buying matches the appliance into which you're putting it. So if these things say, oh yeah, we go down to, whatever, 35 degrees F, well, maybe that's not enough for a freezer, or potentially even a refrigerator. So
I bet the battery life is amazing on those things, though.
He says it is. Yes. Turns out. Yeah.
Cold.
All right, folks. Imagine your company's security is like the quad of a college campus, right? Bear with me on this. You've got those nice brick paths, the company-owned devices, the IT-approved apps, and managed employee identities. But let's be real. We all know the shortcuts worn through the grass exist too, right? The unmanaged devices, the shadow IT apps, and those rogue contractors who think they're secret agents, Most security tools only cover those happy brick paths, leaving the shortcuts wide open for trouble. Don't get caught with your digital pants down. Enter our sponsor, 1Password Extended Access Management. It's the first security solution that brings all those unmanaged devices, apps, and identities under your control. Every user credential is strong and protected. Every device is known and healthy, and every app is visible. It's like having a team of cyber ninjas patrolling every shortcut. Seriously, if 1Password Extended Access Management were any cooler, it'd be wearing sunglasses and a leather jacket while typing furiously on a holographic keyboard. This solution tackles the problems traditional IAM and MDM can't even touch. It's security for the way we work today. Available now for companies with Okta and coming later this year to Google Workspace and Microsoft Entra. So, whether you're dealing with a wild contractor or a rogue device, 1Password Extended Access Management has got you covered. Check it out at onepassword.com/product/XAM. That's onepassword.com/product/XAM, and we'll have this linked in the show notes at macgeekgab.com as well to make it easy. Don't get caught. Secure your shortcuts with the coolest security solution on the block. And our thanks to 1Password Extended Access Management for sponsoring this episode. All right, look, there are some things in life that are okay to be a total crapshoot, like trying a new type of milk in your coffee, or mixing it up with a new place to get takeout, or I don't know, maybe trusting that the audio recorded in an echoey, huge room at a conference might sound really good for your podcast. But finding the right doctor shouldn't be a total crapshoot. And with Zocdoc, it's not, because you've got more options than you know. Zocdoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skin care, and much more. Plus, Zocdoc appointments happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. I have used this, and it works, and I think you're going to love it. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/MGG to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/MGG, ZocDoc.com/MGG, and our thanks to Zocdoc for sponsoring this episode.
All right. Well, I'm going to take us to Larry, and we were talking past each other. He wrote in the other night, and now I've hidden it from myself. There it is. He wrote in, there used to be a time when I stuck a CD in an Apple Music, nay iTunes, not only recognized the CD titles, but also pulled in the artwork. Importing the CD was just one click and done. That's it. Nowadays, it pulls up song titles, but no artwork. When did this change, and how do I correct it? And so I wrote a beautifully crafted response and said, here's how you get your artwork into iTunes. And he basically wrote back and said, yeah, I know that. I'm asking, when did it change, and how do I make it so I can click on it and have it import all the metadata to include the artwork? So the fact is, my first search brought up TuneUp. So if you find that, it's no longer supported. Music Brains with a Z, Picard, Picard, claims to work with Apple Music, but the comments that I read in the YouTube video I watched on it say, it's not great. Bottom line is, it looks like the functionality has been deprecated by Apple because importing CDs is no longer the primary means of obtaining digital music. So, Larry, from Apple to you, tough luck, pal. It looks like they've taken that functionality out, never to return. I don't know. Thoughts, Dave? Adam?
Yeah, it's been... I'm trying to think. I know it will pull the song names, but artwork...
Yeah. You have to go Google it and pull in the image and manually put it in. And
yeah.
That Music Brains apparently takes the artist and just slaps it all over anywhere from any artist it finds. And
a big problem with what Apple does too, even if it is pulling artwork these days, I think part of the problem is Apple Music and the data in Apple Music where it would pull data from. Because, if anybody's experienced this, if you have songs in your library, that you put in back in the day from Apple Music, oftentimes the matched versions that they find are like greatest hits albums. Like, you get weird information and data, in my opinion, a lot of times. So like, I think even if you did, like if I went and ripped a brand new CD right now, even if that was working, I would expect it to have potentially odd results just because of what Apple is like looking through these days.
Well, that's if you're uploading to either iCloud Music Library or using iTunes Match, right? But it used to be, and I think what Larry's talking about is the local thing that didn't check with an Apple database, but checked with someone else's database.
Right.
And it's not doing that. So you're right. I think if you pulled those songs in and had it, auto name them, which clearly it will mostly do if they're in whatever database Apple Music is looking at, and you are an iCloud Music customer, it might match them with the cloud. I mean, it should match them with the cloud, whether it's to your point, whether it's the right version that it's matching with.
Right.
Well, you kind of want to check. But at that point, it might wind up adding some artwork, but maybe not. Maybe not to your local copy. It might to the one that you like download to your phone, because that's going through the filters of iTunes Match or iCloud Music Library. I don't know.
Yeah. There used to be so many great apps for this back in the day. I remember Equinox had one called Cover Scout that I absolutely loved.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And that
Forgot about
that was
Cover Scout.
amazing.
That's right,
yeah, and it searched multiple databases, but I don't know. I think you're right, Pete. I think that era may have left us to a certain degree.
Yeah. I forget the name of the database that it used to use, but I
think it
remember reading it.
It wasn't the Grace Note database, was it?
I think it was.
Okay.
I think it was. Yeah, because I remember reading it the other night when I was doing the research on this, and
Because Grace Note is what Shazam is based on. I know that. Now
Is it? Okay.
I don't know anymore. I still need to catch up on sleep after Mac stuff.
Dave, are you saying I beat you up?
You didn't
Your
beat me
nap
up. I
wasn't
beat
enough?
myself up. It's early to rise and late to bed is not the right formula
Right.
for this particular podcaster. Although it seems to be how I live my life. So I don't know.
Right.
Yep.
I'm wondering if you could cobble something together with like shortcuts or something like that, or some sort of automation to like search one of these existing databases like Discogs or Sonlyrics or.
I hadn't thought of that.
I'm surprised there isn't a third-party app to do this. But again, I think perhaps that also speaks to the sort of reality that people aren't ripping CDs anymore. You're downloading your music in a digital form that already has all this metadata and more.
Right.
So, Dave, watch Adam's head explode. I'm just going to have ChatGPT write an app that'll do this for me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, sort of back to our conversation that we had in the last episode at MacStock, that's a really interesting thought. We said, it's not like commercial apps are being developed with this. And of course, I think almost as a chorus, all three of us said, yet. Right. It'll happen. Yeah. But what about something like this where it's like, I wish a commercial app existed for it. There is no market for it, or not a big one.
Yeah.
I don't know how to write that app myself. Would ChatGPT cobble together, whatever? I mean, it could be an app in C. It could be an app in AppleScript. Whatever. That starts to become a really interesting use case for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone do that and send it to us.
No, I'm gonna do that in my free time. I'm gonna have
There you go.
ChatGPT write me an app for my iPhone that does something, and obviously I'm gonna have to use Xcode as the conduit to get it there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is interesting now. Okay.
That will be interesting. Let us know how it goes.
Yeah, I'll let you know as soon as I get the time to do it. Because there you go. All right, shall we move on?
Yeah. So Mark has a question about syncing files. He says, I have an external hard drive on my Mac at home and one at work. I have 3 terabytes of files on a hard drive at home, and I want to sync it with the hard drive at work. It is much larger than 3 terabytes, so plenty of room. I'm currently using mega.nz paid plan, but it runs very slowly. I have been back and forth with their support, and they have no answers except to say that it is more than usual, the usual amount of data I have. They must be used to everyday users, with small files.
Got it.
Suggestions for something simple, willing to pay for. I think iCloud won't do it because it will not work on an external drive, correct? Love the podcast. Keep doing it forever.
Well, we will attempt the forever part, but I can't make any promises because linear time is arguably doesn't exist. That said, okay, so mega.nz, if you don't know, just to level set everybody, is essentially a file storage and syncing service kind of like Dropbox. We'll say that for now, right? And syncing 3 terabytes with Dropbox would be effective for this solution, but not cost effective. Like it would be functionally effective, and Dropbox would love you forever because you'd be paying many people's salaries, right? But not the right solution. You don't need it stored in the cloud. Potentially, your work doesn't even, like, you might even currently be violating some things if you're storing data that you want to that is work data in the cloud. Like, you just want these 2 things to sync with each other, and that's that. So the thing that pops to my mind is something called ResiliaSync. I don't know where they got that name, but I know why they got that name, because it used to be called BitTorrent Sync. And BitTorrent, the name has a little bit of a stink on it because BitTorrent is used for, it's a peer-to-peer technology that is used sometimes, not always, for like nefarious purposes of sharing pirated files and things like that. But it's a really efficient protocol and a really robust protocol that doesn't rely on a server anywhere. It uses all the peers in a group. And when you're sharing with, like pirated files, it might be thousands of people you don't know. But it can be used for a closed group. I mean, every group of BitTorrent is closed if no one knows the way to get into it. And of course, yours would be closed to your devices. But ResiliaSync, you install on your Mac at home, on your Mac or Windows or Linux machine or your disk station or whatever you want at work and or elsewhere. You can have, I think you can have up to, on the personal version, which I think is free, you can have up to like 10 devices all participating in your cloud. This may have changed over the years. It's been a while. I used to use it all the time. And it's because it's based on the very robust BitTorrent protocol. It's pretty good at traversing firewalls, even firewalls that are built to block the BitTorrent protocol. So again, so long as you're not violating work policy, you might just install this, point it at these 2 folders and say, sync them up, and boom, you're done. And that way you're only using the bandwidth between you and work. You're not reliant on whatever, third party you have involved that might be slowing things down. It could just be that your bandwidth between home and work is slow, and that's something that you'd have to fix. But at least it's all on you. So ResiliaSync is the name of it, and it can really be the answer for something like this.
Oh, the price is right. I haven't used it in a long time either, Dave. I'm wondering if that may be the answer, because I've been trying to do backup across the 2 Synology drives. I wonder if the folder I want to just mirror, if I use ResiliaSync. Thoughts? I
don't think so. I mean, it would work, but my question would be, why not just use Cloud Station Sync? Because that's built into your Synology and it knows about all of it.
I haven't been using that either. I was trying to use the backup, and I don't want to use the hyper backup.
No,
isn't
but
really what I want.
That's not what you want. But
Sync.
The Cloud Station Sync, just like you would use on your Mac. And of course, if you have a Synology either at home or at work, Mark or anyone who wants to solve this problem, then I would go that route. But you don't have to. Like I said, before Cloud Station Sync was as robust as it is now, I was using ResiliaSync on all of my Macs and my disk station just to sync all my documents. Worked great.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's my answer there. Any more thoughts on that before we move on?
Just, I'm surprised Mega survived. I didn't know it was still around.
Yeah. They are also known for hosting anything that you want to share there without asking a lot of questions. They're kind of like the Millennium Falcon of file sharing services. It's like no questions asked.
Has that continued, though, or is that just back left over from chem.com in the 90s and Mega Upload?
I get a lot of, I like live music. And so there's a lot of live music that's shared via a variety of services, and mega.nz is one of them, when people just post in semi-public forums or whatever. But the music that I'm getting is stuff that the bands that I'm getting it from, most of them would allow. But there's definitely some that's like, yeah, I don't think the band would authorize this, but it's not like, but it's live recordings that the band hasn't released. It's not commercial stuff that you could buy from the band. This is stuff you couldn't buy from the band. And so I don't know, like, I don't, it's a very gray area. So, hey, speaking of, Synologies, Adam, you got that DS423 Plus going yet?
Yeah, I do. I finally went forward with it and decided to pull the trigger and just do the normal, process of, popping the drives, shutting everything down, popping the drives out of my existing one, keeping track of the order, popping them in the new one, and just firing it up and letting it do its thing. And despite, some concerns that we had discussed on the show about the available storage for the operating system, it just worked.
Great.
So like little to no issues, like totally smooth process. Actually, no issues. I shouldn't even say little to no issues. No issues. Other than, okay, I take it back. There was one weird thing where I had trouble with my login for some reason. Okay. So it was like my user account information didn't transfer over. And I don't remember if I ended up I think I ended up having to do like a password reset through it. So I don't know why it got borked or how it got borked, or even if it was truly borked. It was really odd. So when, I went back to log into it, I was having trouble logging in, and that concerned me for a second, but I got through that, and now it's just been running great. I know I'll say I don't run a lot of stuff on it. It's basically Plex and iTunes backups. Those are the only two things I'm really using it for currently.
Sure.
Now I probably will expand on that now that I have this model, because the other one was so old I didn't really want to like push it too much. But now I'll probably look into some other use cases or things to do with it. But yeah, in terms of transition, it was great.
And the 423 Plus, that one of the reasons, as we sort of went through it here on the show a couple of months ago and narrowed down on that one for you, was it's got a decent processor in it that also has a GPU, which will do the transcoding for Plex, and it's working fine for that. Yeah. Yeah,
it's working awesome for that. I'll say the other thing that I did do before I did the transition is I did take one of the 4 terabyte drives that they had sent and popped it in my little USB-C toaster thing, and I backed up my entire Plex library and my iTunes backups from it over the network. So I plugged that into my Mac and I grabbed all that data and backed that up just in case everything went south. Because the main thing I cared about was all of the Plex data, because I had spent a long time, obviously, ripping my entire DVD collection into Plex a long time ago. And it's like, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah, right. Cool.
I have all the discs in the garage in a box, but I'm not going through, 200 or whatever, how many DVDs I had. Like, no desire to redo that again.
Well, now we've got to get you set up to sync the Mac Geek Gab folder that I have on my disk station. Pete's got it synced on his, and we can get you synced on yours. And so that way we have that sort of collaborative thing happening too. And it's super easy. In fact, you already have access to it. We just need to have you like sync to it and you're good to go.
Yeah.
So,
the other thing that I never got really set up and configured was like the Synology. It's gone through several names, but I think it's currently called Synology Drive, like the cloud access to it,
Yes.
That sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's part of it is part of Synology Drive. It's Cloud Station Sync is what the that's my old name in my head. That's what they used to call it. Yeah. No, it's called Synology Drive Client. Is the thing that you would install on your Mac.
Yes, I run that up in my menu bar.
Exactly. It's the Dropbox-like service, but it's private cloud. You're doing it on your own. And the Synology Drive client can also run on your Synology and connect to another Synology. And that's what you would do for for our Mac Geek Gab folder is connect yours to mine, and like I said, you've already got access to it. You just need to like plug it in, and yeah, you're good to go.
So I have two minor administrative questions about this. One is, Adam, you mentioned you put all the drives in the same order, and I remember we mentioned that before. What's the importance of that? What if you stick in drive 3 first and then drive 2? Will Synology just go stupid?
That's my understanding, yes.
Stupid's not the right answer. It will tell you you've done something wrong.
Oh,
yes.
okay. Okay, so it won't hopefully corrupt all your data.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but it'll tell you, hey, look, I can't. It might actually make sense of it and tell you you've done it wrong. But it will at the very least tell you, all I know how to do with this is format it. Are you sure that's what you want to do? And so this is why when you are doing what Adam did, and again, just to kind of paint the picture. Well, my recommendation is, yes, if you want to mark the drives, great, but leave them in your old unit and move one at a time. Sure. And this way, because if you take them all out and stack them on top of each other, your elbow is going to hit that stack, and then you're going to need to do the juggling game and the shell game and get all the drives back in order. So.
Yeah, and not to mention the numbers are on the bottom of the drive slot. They're not on the drive, the outside of the drive itself.
That's right.
Yeah. So
I was just thinking of taking a Sharpie pen and marking the drive number as you pulled it out of the old one. If but that's your way is much safer, Dave.
I literally, because you have to shut them down to do this process anyway. So I literally shut it down. I put one right next to the other, pop drive 1 out of there, put it in drive 1 and the new one, pop drive 2, put in, and I had to they were all dusty and gross. And so, I took the opportunity to vacuum off
with
the
an air
drives
all right,
clean them up, get all the dust bunnies off and clean out the units. And
and so, and the other quick question I had was, I think we covered this on the show before, the naming, what's the word I'm looking for?
ChatGPT can help, Pete.
The naming convention essentially is, so it's a 423. That tells me that Adam's drive was built in 2023 and it's a 4-bay.
That is correct. Okay. Yes. It is a 423 plus. The plus used to mean something specific. Now it's more nebulous. It just means it's like on the faster side of these types of things.
Okay.
And if somebody from Synology or anybody is listening and knows there to be a more specific answer to that, let us know. Feedback at macgeekgab.com.
Wait. Oh, they should send it to feedback at macgeekgab.com.
Yep, he said feedback at macgeekgab.com, Pete.
Well, there you have it.
There you go. All right, shall we? So this is great. I'm glad it went as smoothly as it did for you. I know I talked on the show about my lost Saturday afternoon to a migration that should have gone smoothly. Certainly that happened. I didn't lie about that. But it was also, I've probably done 25 of these, and that was the first one. And so far, only one. I've done one since then, and it went fine. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still not ultimately thrilled that, I still now have my operating system volume locked to, the 2 gigabytes instead of 8 gigabytes or whatever it is. I feel like I have no headroom moving forward. And at some point I'm going to hit that. I have to imagine you're going to hit that wall, right?
Well, maybe not, because what we're talking about is the system partition on Synology's used to be 2 gigabytes. They realized that there were scenarios, the one I described being one of them, but they knew it before my scenario happened, that where that was not enough. And so 8 gigabytes is enough in Synology's mind. And I think they're correct about that based on what we're seeing, at least for a good long time. As far as going forward, for those of us that have volumes we've been migrating, any new disk that you put in after sometime last year, let's say middle of 2023, that's not exactly correct, but it's close, will have an 8 gigabyte system partition on it. Now, the issue is that is a RAID 1 mirror amongst all of them. And so it will only be it will be 2 gigabytes effective until the smallest of the partitions is moved up to 8 gigs. So as you replace drives in yours, as I am in mine, yeah, and I noticed that when I was learning all about Synology partitions that Saturday afternoon, where I saw that I had 4 drives, and 2 of them had 2 gigabyte partitions, and 2 had 8 gig partitions. And it was like, oh, those are the 2 new ones. So they are working to upgrade us in the only way that you can. Ish. I mean, I guess technically they could like resurface the drive in place and create an 8 gig partition, but like that gets super crazy. But yes, so your problem might be solved before it becomes a problem for you.
Yeah, because I think I already did. I want to say I did replace. I want to say I replaced 1 drive. So one
I know that
be like that.
I know that I don't know them off the top of my head. I have logged somewhere in my notes the terminal commands that you would type at the Synology command line with your Synology up and running, just to see, not manipulate, but just to see the partition sizes on each of your drives, and then you can know like, okay, it's only these 2 left. So yeah,
cool.
Shall we move on to Jeffrey? Oh, go ahead.
Well, quick question. That's the memory size for the operating system for DSM. Is that?
Yeah, for DiskStation Manager, essentially. Yes, it's the partition that they keep, and the reason they do it across all the drives and keep it mirrored is that way when any of your drives can be the boot drive, and because if they designated one as the boot drive and that was the drive that died,
Game over.
Yeah, you sure all your data's there, but you can't start the system. So that's why it all makes sense. They made a decision years ago about 2 gigs, and lo and behold, it turns out now we need it to be bigger. Who knew? It's
kind of like memory. Who would need more than 640K for memory? I'm asking for a friend.
It's that question. Exactly. Yeah. At the time, it seemed like a good idea at the time. But that's the whole of like computing engineering decisions, is you do make decisions based on what's a good idea at the time. And even if you look at future proofing, you don't know what you can't know. So it's that whole linear time thing.
Oh, that. All right. Hey, well, how about I take us to Jeffrey's question?
Let's do it.
He writes in, he says, Mac Geek Gab guys, I had a playlist synced to my Apple Watch that I used for my walks with over 200 songs. Most of them never got played. For the last few months, I have used a playlist with 40 songs. Again, many have never played. When I start a walk and go to the playlist, it always starts with the same song and plays every song in the same order. I no longer have a shuffle option on my watch. This is a fairly recent problem in that I don't remember my playlist being stuck on the same songs for eternity. Is there something I'm missing or something I'm doing wrong? Anyone? Bueller?
I'll take it. It sounds like these songs aren't being synced to Jeff's watch, or Jeffrey's watch. I'm sorry. And so I will approach this like I do most things on this show. What would I do next if I were there? So I'd launch the Watch app on my phone, right? On my iPhone, the Apple Watch app, go to the music section and see what's set there. And I'm assuming that Jeffrey's already done this, and that's how you see that, okay, yep, these things are synced. If you set a playlist to be synced, which it sounds like he has, then I would turn it off and let it remove it entirely from the watch. Then re-add it and see if that helps. Essentially turn it off and turn it on again. I'm guessing this might not help. If it does, great, you're done. If it doesn't, then turn it off again on your watch. Go to that playlist on your phone and tell it to download all of those songs to your phone so that your phone has local copies of all those songs. With iCloud Music, you can set playlists to stream, certain songs to be downloaded, other songs not to be downloaded. And while I don't know what Jeffrey's problem is specifically, it sure sounds like it's like, well, I don't have the rest of these songs, so I can't play the rest of these songs. You know, you take the reservation, can you keep the reservation? You have the list, but can you play the list? And the answer is no. And why would that be? Well, if the songs aren't there, and I've certainly seen that on my phone where I have a playlist and half of it's downloaded and half of it's not, and I'm on a crummy connection or whatever, things are wonky, and I go to play it and it just loops on the 5 songs that I have downloaded and the rest just get skipped because they ain't there. So download them to your phone, get them all downloaded, then go and re-add that playlist to your watch. I'm hoping, but also guessing that this is going to solve the problem.
That all makes sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds right. What was surprising is, so with playlists, because I don't use this feature on my Apple Watch. This is more just a question that I have now. So if I choose a playlist to be the thing that I sync to my Apple Watch so that I can, offline play music on my Apple Watch, it sounded like he was saying he doesn't have the option to shuffle it. It can only go in order. Is that right? Or is this just a symptom of not having all the music synced?
I think I don't think it was. I think it was he shuffled it, but he's getting the same, 20 of the 40 songs or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, he said it. He said I seem to have lost the shuffle option in his email.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't know if that was a limitation of playlists. Like sometimes I think playlists are a special thing, right? Like you curated a list of music and this is the order that you want to play it in.
Should be able to play it. But I don't. But I don't know. And I went to check on my watch, and I'm wearing a mechanical watch today. So
there you go.
It doesn't even have a battery.
The playlist is not working, Dave. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Mine is also broken, Jeffrey. I feel your pain. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure
it wouldn't even unlock my computer this morning. This thing sucks.
I would bet you someone in our community, if they know, will let us know, and we can share that next time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So just went back and checked. Yeah, he says I no longer have a shuffle option on my watch. So.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
So
that.
Stay tuned.
It maybe once the full playlist is there, it can shuffle.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing to check, and of course I don't have my watch to look into this, but is the amount of free storage on the watch. If I don't know what else would be taking up storage other than songs. I don't think you've figured out how to watch movies on your watch. If you have, feedback at macgeekgab.com. But
I do audiobooks on my watch.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, that's fair. Yeah. So make sure you're not hitting a storage limit on your watch too. So yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Should we help Rand with an email question?
Yep.
So Rand says, "Hi guys, I recently sorted my emails by hand and found that there were 51 emails I cared about and more than 200 that I didn't care about at all. I'm using Apple Mail on Monterey. I recall Dave used to use a Mac Mail add-in or add-on that intelligently sorted mail as you use it into things to keep, things to delete, etc. I think it was an external service. He asks, does this still exist and does it work on Monterey? I can't seem to find it in my notes. I would appreciate your assistance very much. Keep up the good work. Rand."
So I jumped in front of Dave and answered this before he could get to it and said, my guess is SaneBox. And it turns out I was right. That's exactly what he was looking for. They used to be an advertiser on the show and their code still works. sanebox.com/MGG. And at MacStock last week, Brett Terpstra was talking about SaneBox and achieving zero inbox, among other things and all that. He said he's getting 900 emails a day. Ouch. That makes me look like a piker. So I went actually and grabbed SaneBox, and I'm on the trial now. And so far, I love it. I don't know why I didn't use it before, but right now I'm loving it. One caution, by design, SaneBox is going to hide some of your email from you. So read carefully through as you're setting it up, and you're going to get a daily, I think I set mine to get a twice daily digest to go, here's all the emails that came in, and here's what we did with them. Review it and go, oh, no, you didn't put it where I want it to. Fix that. And it will remember when you train it, that's the word they use, that, hey, we trained this sender to go into this box, and you can kind of give it a thumbs up and go, yeah, and do that for all emails from this sender, or no, I want that to stay in my inbox so I can see it. However you decide to do it, just be aware that you need to go looking for your emails until you're properly trained what it's doing for you. I think but so far I think it's brilliant.
This will betray how long I've been using SaneBox. I am fully aware of the warning that you just set out.
Yeah.
In fact, that is now so much a part of my life that when those daily digests come in from SaneBox, I summarily delete them without even looking at them.
You send them to SaneBox black hole, Dave?
I don't, but that's essentially what happens. I just like immediate delete. But that's because I have gotten my life to the point where not only am I used to what SaneBox is doing, not only have I trained it, but I trust, and my workflow is such that I am looking in all of the places that SaneBox would put things on a sometimes scheduled basis. Like, I mentioned in a recent show how, maybe it was a year ago, but I look at my spam I have a calendar note to remind me to look at my spam. For me, every other day is a good pace where I can do it in 60 seconds or less. And again, I'll share the tip that I sort my spam by from address so that all the same things, no, I sort it by subject. That's where things get easier. But sorting it, by something like that, it could be from address, could be subject, but something to collate all those things together. It works out great. I also have, on the opposite days, there is a Sane mailbox called Sane News, where it puts things that it thinks are newsletters. It doesn't always get these things right. As you said, Pete, you just move it to your inbox or whatever other mailbox you want it to be in, and then SaneBox learns from that moment forward that that's what to do with messages like that. But I check Sane News on the opposite days from when I check Sane Spam. So I'm doing one of those things every day, but not both on the same day, unless I, kind of fall way behind or whatever. But checking my Sane boxes is such a part of my routine. The nice part about it is I'm able to focus on the things I want to focus on. So I'm not looking at my inbox and having to parse through like, oh, these are receipts, or these are newsletters, or these are this, or these are that. It's like, now I'm going to spend my time focusing on newsletters. And I can go through them really quickly because there's some I want to read and some in that particular day I don't want to read. Depends on what the newsletter is about and also how much time I have. Okay. I have another one for receipts. I have another one for various other things. And I created one called Sane Watched, which is like not things I need in my inbox, but sort of the second layer of that. And that is all my trainings.
Dave, you must be psychotic. You just answered the question I was going to ask, which is, can you create other boxes for SaneBox to go to automatically?
Totally.
And it sounds like that's a firm yes. Perfect.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yep. And then I also use smart mailboxes to look at certain Sane mailboxes and sort of collate them together, only show me unread things from the last 3 weeks from my, whatever Sane news box. Because I'd gotten to a point where my Sane news box got so big that it was like, okay, I kind of have to punt, but I don't really want to punt. So it's like, all right, but now I can see only the news stuff that's unread, and I can sort that by sender, which in the news mailbox is super handy. I don't care really what time it came in. I care about who it's from. And it's like some of these things, like, oh, I don't care about anything from this guy, today. But, oh, that one I kind of want to look at. And if there's 2 or 3 days worth of it there, I've got them all in the same spot.
Perfect.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
it really
awesome.
is. It's great. Yeah, it's great. I didn't mean for this episode to include a primer on SaneBox, but clearly I love this thing.
I just want to add that word hides, just so people are aware. And I think maybe from what you guys just talked about, they understand.
Yeah, that was a pejorative
word.
I'll give you that.
I want to make it really clear. It's SaneBox's job to move emails out of your inbox that are not prioritized as something that you immediately want to see or need access to. So the whole idea behind SaneBox is it's a filter on your incoming mail. And you set it up and train it so that, okay, this coming in, this is a receipt. And in my case, that goes to like Sane Bulk. So if it's like I made an online order, or something, receipts go there. And like Dave said, if it's a newsletter I subscribe to or some sort of thing, it goes to a newsletter mailbox. It gets it out of your inbox. So when you're looking at your inbox, you're only seeing things that you truly want in your inbox. And then it moves these to other places. So you just have to learn and sort of train like, okay, I know if I'm looking for that newsletter I subscribe to, it's going to be over here. It's never going to be in my inbox. And if I want it in my inbox, if I'm like that particular newsletter, I do want in my inbox, you just literally move it to your inbox. And as Dave said, it will eventually learn that, okay, that one newsletter you want in inbox and the other stuff can go other places.
And eventually is often immediately learn.
It's pretty quick.
It's pretty quick.
Yeah. But like there's another one that's kind of handy called Saying Not Spam. And I have to remember to go look in there every once in a while. Because what that is like, we think this thing looks kind of spammy, but it's not really spammy. So maybe it's something you actually do want. Tell us what you want to do with this one. Or like Pete said, Sane Black Hole is like really, really spammy stuff. And it's just like, we think that you don't care about this at all and don't want it, but we're not just going to delete it. We're going to move it over here so you can check.
And that Sane Not Spam folder has saved my butt. I would say probably 6 times a month. This isn't SaneBox's spam filter. It's SaneBox's anti-spam filter, right? It's the opposite of that. So I use Fastmail for my mail. So therefore, I use Fastmail as my spam filter. It's great, but it's not perfect. And sometimes a legitimate thing makes it there. And I will tell you, Sane Not Spam catches more of those than I catch using my every other day scan through my spam folder.
Nice.
Like it's uncanny. Well, because it knows that you've got email going here and there, and like the types of things that you actually interact with, and it's like, I think you want this. And it's like, oh, holy crap, that's like somebody with an insertion order. Like that's cash business, right? Well, not cash because nobody uses cash, but you know what I mean. Yeah,
I've already found
right there
that it does a nice job finding spam that isn't otherwise found, though. Hey, most people find this annoying. Oh yeah, me too.
Same, right? Yeah, it's a really good system. I've always said that if SaneBox ever goes out of business, my top priority will be building another version of SaneBox to do the things that I need it to do. And there's way more. There's the reminders. There's all kinds of things that we can get into, but we're not because we need to move on. It is. I want to share a cool stuff found that I showed you, Pete, in the airport.
Yes.
Yeah, we wound up flying. Well, we flew out and I'll say halfway back in Pete's plane, and then we wound up flying commercial because we had to drop your plane off to get painted. But that meant that we were out of the crummy Wi-Fi at the hotel and onto airport Wi-Fi, which was like a breath of fresh air. But that also meant I could download the plugin. I alluded in the ad about Zocdoc that we trusted that the audio from the room would work great for episode 1046. There was a lot of awful things about the audio that particular night. One of them was we were talking into microphones that were being amplified into the same room. So you got some feedback into the mics and echo from the room because there's a huge conference room that we were in. And then also the audio that was coming out of the speakers was also delayed, which certainly didn't help matters. So I didn't want to subject you all to that audio in its raw form. But I also didn't have the plugin on my laptop to fix it. But I finally did and was able to do it in the airport and get it uploaded on Monday, which is why you all got that. But so I have I use the Waves, I want to get the name right, Waves Clarity VX DeReverb plugin. And this is basically it on its default settings. So I'm going to play you before the plugin, the intro of 1046, and then I'll play it after. So let's see how this goes. All right, here we go. So this, as far as you know, is Mac Geek Gab 1046 for Monday, July 15th, National Be Adored. All right, so you got it. Here we go. All right, here we go. So this, as far as you know, is Mac Geek Gab 1046 for Monday. Way tighter, right? Like it's not perfect, but
well, it's a live studio audience.
Correct. I mean, it sounds like it's live, but it took, and this was it took longer to write the file to disk than it did for the plugin to like tune itself to it. It basically happened in real time once I was able to get the plugin loaded. So that was cool. And I think that's available for like $40 or $50 right now, that Waves Clarity plugin. So if you are if you are someone who needs something like that ever, go get it. It's amazing what can be done. And this didn't require me sampling anything or tweaking. I mean, there's a knob in the plugin. There's also the Pro version. I didn't have a lot of time in the airport, so I didn't want the Pro version for that because I didn't want more knobs and switches. I wanted to turn it on, and there's a knob that goes from 0 to 100, essentially. I don't know what their metrics are, but I just turned it up, and I got it to about 40 or 50%. I was like, sounds good to me. Giddy up. Let's go. Because if you go too far, it starts sounding sort of weird. And so I got it to a point where it sounded natural. I put my earphones in Pete's ears, and he was like, wow, that sounds great. I'm like, okay, sold. Ship it. Out it went. So. Fun.
Nice.
You got one for us?
Cool. I do. I found one that I absolutely love. It's called 10minutemail.com. Not 10-minute email. Do not go to that one. 10-minute mail. There's only one E after the T.
Okay.
Oh, why would you want 10-minute mail? It's free temporary email. Okay. So you need to sign up for a site which requires you provide an email address, and you want to be subjected to a bunch of spam, and you don't want to have to buy SaneBox in order to prevent you from getting all that spam. Get this email address, put it in, and it will send it to you right there on their website. It's all web-based. You get your email. You can provide your validation code. Bang, zoom, boom, you're done. And if you need more time than 10 minutes, there's a great big button there that says get 10 more minutes, and you can keep that same email address as long as you keep refreshing it. And what a great way to go. And it also looks like they have on their website a free metadata remover for cleaning photos and videos before posting or sharing them. I just am noticing that as I am reading about 10-minute mail. So if you look down to the right there, I wonder what that's like. Yeah.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah. So you don't put your, take a picture of your front yard and give everyone your address.
Yeah, right. Right. And you've used this? It works all right for you?
I've used 10-minute mail. I have not used the metadata remover as yet. I just noticed that as I was reading.
Got it. No, that's what I mean. 10-minute mail you've used. Yeah.
Yes, okay. I have used it. It works great. Lasts a long time.
Amazing.
Well, 10 minutes anyway.
Yeah, well, that's as advertised. At MacStock, Kaylee was an attendee. At MacStock, everybody's an attendee, even if you happen to be doing a session. It's all this very collaborative environment. It really, it's one of my favorite conferences to go to for a lot of reasons. And I think it was Allison Sheridan who was giving the presentation at the time, but Kaylee from the audience, 3 seats down from me or whatever, chimed in about a utility called RDM, which we believe is Retina Display Manager, and it will show you, it's free, available on GitHub, and it shows you all the possible resolutions and will highlight the ones that are, retinized by dropping a little lightning bolt next to them. So, or as the industry likes to call it, if you're not Apple, high DPI, that pick the high pixel density. But RDM, if you need to pick a resolution for your display that is slightly different from the ones that Apple wants to show you, and you don't want to go through the open up system settings, displays, hold down the option key, wave your flag just right, and do all the things, RDM is right there in the menu bar, and you're good to go. You can do whatever you want. It shows you what it's currently set to, and then lets you set it to all of the ones it can find for you, including many that Apple would not. So that's RDM. Yeah. those that are semi-hidden. Yeah, I mean, you can see a lot of those with the clicking the option key in the right spots in the display system preferences, but it gets a little, it's annoying to have to do that. Yeah. You want to take us to Bruce, Pete?
Yeah, Bruce writes in, "Hi, guys. Do you remember that wonderful utility that Apple used to bundle with Mac OS called Network Utility? And do you remember that for some reason, a bizarre reason, Apple discontinued it in Mac OS 11? Well, Devon Technologies has revived this app and is offering it for free at devontechnologies.com/apps/freeware. And as they say on their website, all similarities with an application of the same name that was once bundled with legacy versions of Mac OS 10 and OS 10 are, of course, purely coincidental. Names were changed to protect the innocent." And Devon Technologies, that's D-E-V as in Victor, O-N,
we'll put a link
November,
in the show notes.
Technologies. And the link's in the show notes. Go there. It's not only network utility, it's all kinds of freeware apps on that link. So very cool stuff there. Thank you, Bruce, for sending that to us.
Yeah. Huh. I had no idea this existed. I'm gonna download it now. That's handy.
Photo stickies, X menu. Great stuff.
Cool. Fun. Great. Yeah. Love that. That's awesome. Thanks, Bruce. If you are listening to this show in Overcast, you will have noticed that this week Overcast got an overhaul. Marco Arment rewrote the foundation of Overcast for the first time since its inception, which is 10 years ago. A lot of it looks the same. It's just, smoother behind the scenes, allows for faster iterations and for new features and things like that. There is one thing that is gone and seems to be intentionally gone from this, just so we all know, and that is streaming. Marco's description: most big podcasts now use dynamic ad insertion, which causes bugs and problems for streaming playback. On today's fast networks, downloading episodes completely before they begin playback is much more reliable. I certainly can attest to this experience with prior versions of Overcast, where I would start streaming something and it would, there was a jankiness about it. Now I know why. But if you don't have something downloaded, you're in your car, you hit play, there will potentially be a slightly longer delay before it starts playing. And that's because of this decision that was made in the engineering process. But the rest of it is all, I've been using the new version for a little while, and it's great. So
that's great stuff.
Just FYI. Yes.
It's funny. Yeah. I hadn't even ever thought about the fact that that there's dynamic ad in there, but yeah, if I'm overseas and I download an episode, I could be a week later, I play it and I start getting ads in German and
right. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
And I started getting ads about something in Chicago, from some episodes I downloaded while we were at MacStock. So I was listening last night. I'm going, Chicago. Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
The new weird fun one for me is I get ads about tractors and fertilizer.
Oh yeah. You live in tractor and fertilizer land now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. That makes sense.
Nice.
Yeah. On the you mentioned those free utilities from Devon Technologies. DeVonthink is their sort of primary utility, and Brett Terpstra in his session at MacStock told us, or reminded us, for me it was being told, that he likes DeVonthink as an email archive utility. And DeVonthink is one of these things that you put all of your data, documents that you want into it, and it allows you to analyze, collate, relate, and file and connect them in ways that other apps don't. It was potentially the first time I was exposed to what we would now call machine learning, but on your own data set and only your own data set. So not leveraging the large language models or anything, but that same sort of thing where it's just sort of intuiting things about your data and relating them together. And so using that for an email archive seemed kind of brilliant to me. And it's the first time, I've said that I keep all my email in IMAP servers so that I can access it from my mail client no matter where I am. And I do, and it's great. And I told Brett about it, and he was like, oh my gosh, I have to do that. He's like, I need to set up a mail server on my Synology. So we'll see if he does. But I was equally kind of blown away by the DEVONthink idea of archiving my mail, because mainly I'm going to want to search it. So, yeah.
How's that running your own mail server going, Dave?
Great. It really, truly is. Yeah, because it is not a mail server I rely on for inbound mail. I do get inbound mail to it, but it's only as a litmus test. That way, if I don't see new messages there, I know something's wrong. I don't use it to send email, but I do use it to archive all my email. It's a mail server for one. I mean, if Lisa wanted to use it or whatever, I would show her how to. It's sort of already on for her because it's on for anybody who's a user of my disk station, I think. But I'd show her, what to do with it or whatever. Yeah. But as an archive, it's great. Yeah, the thing where I swore I would never run a mail server again and still maintain that is I don't want to be the one running the mail server that's like the front door for not just me, but everybody in the company or whatever, because you got to stay on top of so many things to run a mail server that it is a full-time job. And I say I use Fastmail. That's why I use Fastmail. It's like they understand it is their full-time job. So, but yeah, it's going great. Super reliable. Knock on wood.
Right.
But again, if it died, like if the server engine stopped running, all my mails are in EMLX files on my server. So I just go get them and put them somewhere else. So
okay.
Yep. I think that's it. I think we need. Is there one more thing anybody wants to talk about, or are we good?
Do I hear something?
Is that what you're looking for, Pete?
I hear something. I hear
the music's
musica.
there. Yeah, music's there. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody.
Indeed.
Thanks for thanks for everything. This is we love doing this, and I really appreciate it. I know we all do. At least I think we all do. I think I can.
Do you love doing it enough to do it again next week? That's my question.
I'll do it again next week. Sure. Okay. Adam, you up for doing it again next week?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay, great. Sweet. Looks like 10:47 isn't the planned end anyway. Anything can happen in a week.
We're going to do it forever, right?
Forever. That's right. Forever until we stop. But there's no plans to stop. Thanks to all of you for listening. Thanks to all of you. Please take a recent episode or an old episode if you want, that you thought was valuable. Share it with a friend. That if I could ask a favor of you, that would be it, because that would be amazing, and that's how we grow the Mac Geek Gab family and we keep things thriving. Thanks to you for doing that. Thanks to you for listening and just being a part of the community. Thanks to CacheFly for providing all the bandwidth to get the show from us to you. Thanks to our sponsors, 1Password Extended Access Management, which the link will be in the show notes because it's a really long thing. And Zocdoc.com/MGG, of course, for being the sponsors for this episode. Like Pete mentioned, you can go find deals from previous sponsors. It's where Pete found the SaneBox deal at MacGeekGab.com/sponsors. We list the current ones there, but we also list deals that might be in existence even though they're not paying us anymore. And that's okay. We'd love to share that with you. Adam, any final 3 words here before we let them go?
Yeah, I would tell folks, please don't get caught.
Made on a Mac. See ya.
Later. And we're out. Sweet.